Next up for Project 2025, our deep dive. Background checks and security clearances. I somehow feel like we're going to get into some weird territory here. My spidey senses are tingling on this one, folks. So let's dive in. Let's see what's going on here. Oh wait, Bledar Muskaj, are you trying to like talk about your penis to like entice me in YouTube chat? Is that what you're trying to do? Is that like a thing? Do you think that's gonna work out for you? Like what are you doing? Am I misreading the situation here? Maybe I'm casting aspersions, and if so, I apologize. But I got my eye on you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Kirk. I'm with the Heritage Foundation, and I am teaching you today about federal background investigations and the security clearance process.
In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle.
In America, we understand that a nation is only living as long as it is striving.
Only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger.
This great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive and will prosper.
Whether we go forward together with courage or turn back to policies that weakened our economy, diminished our leadership in the world, America's future will be in your hands.
Okay. This guy was Trump's senior advisor at the Office of Personnel Management.
If you are hired for a federal job, you have to go through the background investigation process. This starts when an agency decides to hire you and makes you a job offer. When you accept that job offer, they commence the investigation background checks. That starts when the United States government looks.
I feel like they need to go into excruciating detail about this because there is an extremely non-zero chance that the people who would apply for this are like all felons.
At employees whether or not they meet the suitability and fitness requirements for that position. This applies to anybody, whether you're a contractor, an employee, military, and it covers things like federal facility access, automated systems, classified information, and includes the PIV card. The PIV card basically is that credit card looking thing that allows you to access a computer or doors or entryways or access to security facilities. This investigation process is meant to assure the government that you are reliable, trustworthy, and suitable for that.
And you aren't going to do something like assault the Capitol to try and overturn democracy.
Job you have applied for. Federal employment background checks are really different from regular employment checks in the civilian sector. Depending on what you apply for, they can check for anything from your basic identity check, financial situations, criminal records. Even if it seems trivial, the government is required to fully investigate to believe that you could affect your job performance.
But hey, Our presidential candidate is a guy who's found guilty of 34 felonies and also has bragged about sexually assaulting people and also was found liable in civil court for doing a rape. So, we're not going to be looking that hard at you guys.
Matters to them. What you do matters. Regardless of the type of background check, you will at least need to answer questions about where you lived, where you worked, attended school, military history, police records, and your friends. You will also need to have your fingerprints taken if you've never worked for the federal government before or you are trying to get a higher security classification. The scope.
If they go to get your fingerprints, don't try and pull a gun on them to try to murder them for infringing on your privacy. That's just part of the process.
And type of background investigation varies a lot, depending on the duties and responsibilities and access requirements, including classified, for that position.
I've been through this process in an old job. None of the chuddy people applying should be cleared at higher levels. Most, if it was properly done. Trump will probably have to gut the FBI to rubber stamp a lot of that, but a lot of them that will be waiting. Yeah, probably. That's probably why they're trying to weed out any undesirable fanatics, which is probably not an insignificant amount of them.
As does the amount of time that those various investigations will take to complete. The sponsoring, that's your employing or hiring agency, initiates your investigation and is responsible for determining in the end the appropriate level of investigation to be conducted based on your position's duties and responsibilities. After your sponsoring agency determines what type of background investigation you need, they may conduct the preliminary investigations themselves if they're an authorized investigations service provider, such as the CIA, the NSA, and other certain intelligence agencies. Or they may request another investigation service provider, like the Defense Counterintelligence Security Agency at the Department of Defense, to conduct that investigation. There are certain steps required to complete an investigation. Step one is the questionnaire, filling out the forms. There are several forms: suitability, the standard form SS-85, the standard form SF-86. In order to conduct the background investigation of you, your sponsoring agency will ask you to complete an electronic questionnaire to include standard government forms, as well as various releases and supporting documentation, medical releases included, etc. But the agency gives you a code. You go onto the internet, you sign in, and then you can fill out the forms. During today's training session, we will focus on the SF-86 documentation, which is a form that many political appointees encounter upon accepting a job in the federal government. A guide to completing the SF-86 will be attached and is a reference material to this presentation. The current EQIP form, which OPM designed, will soon...
I'm not gonna lie, so far this guy doesn't seem like overtly evil outside of being associated with Project 2025. This seems like mostly like, yeah, this is how the bureaucracy works. And I'm wondering if we're gonna be waiting for like 10 minutes for him to go unhinged. Like, I don't know. What? Just out of curiosity, I want to see who's more right. What timestamp in this video do you think he's gonna go off the rails? Wait, is this literally just gonna be how to fill out a form? It's a 30-minute long video, and we're 6 minutes into it. But I will also say they don't seem like they're keen on overestimating their appointees. Okay, 22 minutes, 22 seconds, 6 minutes. All right, let's go.
Be the new EAP form of the Department of Defense Counterintelligence Security Agency. The EQIP form will still be used by OPM for things like the suitability test to make sure you have the qualifications to do the basic job.
I'm not gonna lie, as a nerd, it's really hard for me to hear OPM and not immediately think One Punch Man.
If you're not a nuclear scientist, don't apply for that job. Supporting documentation will also be requested from you, depending on your situation, to include but not limited to citizenship documents, residence history, employment history, and your selective service number. If you're a male, you must have applied for the selective service if you're in that age range where that applied. To not have that means you would not be qualified. In today's training session, we're going to review the background investigation process and equip you with the tools you need to properly navigate that system efficiently and effectively. To start, providing the information requested is mandatory.
You aren't old enough to know, but this is definitely the type of guy who is evil in the fundy sense. This guy was an evangelical. This guy have evangelical pastor, everyone but his church is going to hell vibes. Oh no, I am old enough to know about that. I grew up in that type of environment. I literally have like a Hal Lindsey book, like right there, just as like a little memento of that time. So I'm aware of his type, and he definitely gives off those vibes. But I'm wondering where he's gonna start advocating directly for, like, you know, the fascist overthrow of America. So far, each of these videos has had a moment like that, and I'm wondering when his is gonna really kick in, because so far it really seems like he's like, and this is how you fill out the form, sweetie.
Mandatory. It's voluntary for you, but mandatory to get the job if you don't supply it.
Yeah, this guy is very my brain wants to say Bob Hope, but I know that that's not correct. One of the big pastors, Franklin Graham. He's got big Franklin Graham energy. Derogatory.
You won't get the job.
This is number 6, Vox
It will
Syndicate.
adversely affect your eligibility and will restrict you from any access to a position or classified documents, certainly. If you misrepresent or falsify information, that will very negatively affect your chances of...
Now, I know you're all big dipshits, but don't lie on your forms because that is probably a crime.
of employment.
We won't hire you.
And the job status if you have a current job and you've applied for a higher classification. And the potential consequences include, but are not limited to,
There's like
removal,
20.
debarment from federal service, loss of eligibility for access to classified information, and frankly, they could prosecute you for it. It's a false statement. Once you
And frankly, we aren't going to be able to protect you from the long arm of the law until we've finalized our takeover of America, but that's really contingent on you being hired, isn't it?
finish filling out your form and provide all necessary documentation to your sponsoring agency.
Oh, Vosh's thoughts on the suit. I can tell you what his thoughts on the suit would be right now. It is extraordinarily ill-tailored. In basically every way a suit can be ill-fitting, it is currently ill-fitting. Like, I don't have anything nice to say about it. Like, the collar gap literally goes up to, like, below his ears, man. Like, that's bad. Like, I'm not, like, a snob about suits or anything. Like, I don't make a stink about collar gaps, but, like, holy shit, guys.
Your sponsoring agency will then review it for accuracy and complete documentation. They will help you if you request, fill out anything that you have questions about. Your agency may send the electronic questionnaire back to you to correct any missing or inaccurate information. There are systems in place now with EAP where they can tell if you've filed a wrong zip code for the city you say you're in, and they will automatically fix that. But for other incorrect information that is obviously incorrect, they will ask you to correct that. Your sponsoring agency has the right to determine your suitability and make an unfavorable determination at any point during this investigative process. whether or not EQIP or EAP applies, if they determine for some reason that you're not suitable and that you're not, for the good of the service, a person that should occupy that position, they do not have to hire you.
Look, if you're a big dipshit, we're not gonna hire you, okay? You need to be the right level of dipshit. Like a low-level dipshit, but not quite the deep, unadulterated kind of dipshit that usually is attracted to this when we make fascist overtures to overthrow the government.
A favorable final determination can only be provided after your investigation is complete. However, interim.
I will say I would never take advice on what is and is not suitable from a guy who's wearing this type of suit.
Eligibility or access may be granted to you at the discretion of your sponsoring agency if specific portions of your investigation return favorable results. In other words, you might start the job.
Yeah, like it is, Saxon, I think I agree with you, right? Like, part of what's really baffling about this one is the intense focus on, like, hey, for real, don't be a criminal. Don't do things that would get you arrested while applying for this job that we need you to get as a key part of our fascist plan to take over America. Don't be a criminal.
And later get a negative result, which will remove you from that position. As a political appointee, you do not have appeal rights from that decision. During your investigation, the Defense Counterintelligence Security Agency, or DISA, may conduct searches at law enforcement.
Yeah, look, we're gonna basically this is a 30-minute long segment to tell you that you should not be posting on Twitter about how you want to kill Joe Biden. Don't do it. Don't be posting about that, because if you do, we can't hire you. And we really want to hire you in particular if you have that kind of ideology. Okay? That's kind of exactly our jam, but we need you to not say it explicitly in writing on your social media account.
Enforcement entities, courts.
For legal purposes, that was a joke. I was pretending to be that man. I was doing a voice. It was a bit. Please don't show up at my apartment.
Your prior employers, educational institutions, creditors, and other record repositories where they can find out anything about you. Your friends,
They're
co-workers,
gonna give you record suppositories?
landlords, family, neighbors may be contacted to verify where you lived, worked, or went to school, and your behavior during.
Okay, can someone explain collar gap? It's basically a well-fitted suit is not supposed to have a gap between, like, your undershirt and your neck or your suit coat and your neck. So, like, his suit coat here riding up above his ears means that it is an extremely ill-tailored suit, if tailored at all, which I sincerely doubt.
During those periods of time. Additionally, an investigator may interview you to verify, expand upon, and or clarify the information you provided.
Boom, right here. There's your collar gap. The gap between his collar and the suit. Like, honestly, this looks like the suit is wearing him. Like, it's been possessed by a ghost and is puppeting him around. Weekend at Bernie's style.
On your investigative questionnaire. Be truthful at all times. It matters. Several different investigators may work on your investigation at the same time, depending on the locations of your listed activities. Some of you will have had overseas trips and internships. Those embassies at that country will be contacted, and their
Pipo and Sons does not allow collar gaps on their suits. He's a tailored little boy. I guess little man, because he practices law. Unless he's the Doogie Howser of law. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
local investigative officers will determine
He's
the
just
truth
a
or
normal man.
not
Just an
of your
innocent
statements.
man.
They may be federal employees or contractors to an investigation services provider, all doing the same work and following the same laws, rules, and regulations in their conduct of their affairs. The investigators submit.
How many times does he need to say do not be a criminal? Look, okay, someone popped a thesaurus on this speech, okay? Like, they needed to figure out all of the combinations one could use to say do not be a criminal. Like, honestly, okay, I know I play this clip a lot. But it's just this video is giving me this vibe.
I didn't realize it was even a conversation. I always assumed we would be heavily involved.
This is bad. We gotta definitely write a song about how we do not diddle kids. Do not diddle kids. It's no good diddling kids.
There is no quicker way for people to think that you are diddling kids than by writing a song about it.
You gotta write a song that says, ooh, I wouldn't do it with anybody younger than my daughter. No, little kids gotta be big, older than my wife, older than my daughter, something like that.
Don't write a song about that.
No, I'm cloudy. I got a headache.
What's the point of digging into Project 2025 stuff? To let you know exactly what it is, that it is real, and that it presents a very credible threat to the state in which we live. And so that you guys can then share these videos, because I'm going to be making each one of these its own little segment. And also, so that you guys can tell other people about Project 2025, exactly what it is, exactly to what extent they have plans. That's why we're digging into this, because they have these are training videos on how to overthrow the US government, how to undo democracy. Like, that's why we're talking about them. And it's boring as shit, but it's very important. Oh, Trump said he had almost nothing to do with it? Okay, something you need to understand about every single one of these videos, every single one of these training videos is headed by someone who worked in the Trump administration at the highest levels of the US government. Donald Trump absolutely knows about Project 2025. And just real quick here, I'm going to throw this up here. I was going to play it at the beginning of stream, but I wound up not doing that. I apologize. Here. I do like and appreciate that the Kamala HQ account just live tweets every single time Trump goes out there and makes fun of him. It's a good strat. Okay. Take a look here. Where is it? Ah, found it. Here is just a couple things here. So, gonna throw these up here. So Donald Trump says he has nothing to do with it. Here is some leaked footage of the leader of Project 2025. Let's see what he has to say, huh? The guy who masterminded this entire thing. Let's take a look.
Expected to hear 10 more times from the rally, the president, distancing himself from the left's boogeyman of Project 2025.
Yeah. And you're not worried about that?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
He's running against a brand. He is not running against any people.
Okay.
He is not running against any institutions. It's interesting, he's in fact not even opposing himself to a particular policy. Yeah. He's been at our organization, he's raised money for our organization, he's blessed it from the, I remember walking into our last day in office and told him what I was going to do. So he's very supportive of what we do. Expected to hear.
Oh. So I believe this is what is called Trump being caught in a lie. Because that's the leader of Project 2025 and the head of the Heritage Foundation talking about how Donald Trump knew exactly what they were going to do, endorsed it, raised money for them, and has physically been to their headquarters to talk about this stuff. I wonder if there's any more information. Let's see. Oh, wait, there's more to these clips? That's crazy.
The president's actually come up with a strategy that politically and with momentum are giving people perks so long as the president's actually come up with a
Twitter audio player is such ass. Or video player. Good God.
the president's actually come up with a strategy that works so long as you are giving people like me in the government the ability to block funding for Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, you know, he's just casually discussing how the plan that he came up with and that Donald Trump has co-signed is giving him, an unelected official who is external to the government and paid by billionaires, the ability to do legislation.
Block funding for fetal tissue research. What I've told people is he had the most pro-life record ever. I've never seen him take it to stand in the way of a pro-life initiative that actually was real, politically and with momentum. The president's actually come up with.
I wonder if there are any other clips. It'd be really weird if there were more clips of this guy talking and undermining the assertion that Donald Trump made that he had nothing to do with Project 2025.
So I am very happy with the JD pick. I think it's transformative for sure. And he's.
By the way, of course, he'd be happy with the JD Vance pick because JD Vance was basically put in as a way to make sure Donald Trump followed through on Project 2025 stuff.
You know, think of him as a member version of what we do.
Yeah.
So there's no think tank, no policy organization, no battle plan creator other than us for the worldview that I think Donald Trump has and that JD has. The best example is like the campaign selected me to be the platform because of their views on my policy ideas, and they're not running from all of the negativity that I get from the press.
I see. So they haven't been spooked on you as a person, you don't think?
No, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be their transition pick because then they have all these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
But no, the relationship is great.
The head of the Trump transition team has not yet been appointed, but Vogt says that no matter who is named, he'll be able to hand over his Project 2025 battle plans directly.
If it's someone like a Stephen Miller or Bob Lighthizer, then all this stuff gets plugged right in. If it's not, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
But all of it will be designed for a theory of the case that President, if a battle plan is out there that will do what he wants, there are the people like me that have his trust that will be able to get it to him in whatever position we're at, or I could be at Center for New America, but the relationships will be there, the trust level will be there.
And are you going to like rebrand that second phase at all?
For what I do, the brand's not important.
And you're not worried that if it has Project 2025 on, he's going to go like,
no.
And you're not going to publish those?
No.
They go straight to.
Yeah, they're very, very close hold. Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant. It's been an education.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you very much. You can show us that.
Interesting stuff. Battle plan, Project 2025. That we are going over what the battle plan is. Yeah, so Donald Trump knows exactly what this is. He knows exactly what is going on here. JD Vance knows exactly what's going on here and is directly involved with Project 2025. Like, this is all the things. Like, I'm sorry, like, you don't get every single conservative think tank together and make this detailed and well-funded of a plan. And the leader of the Republican Party doesn't know about it. You know? Like, 0% chance that that is the case. Absolutely 0% chance. Let's see here. Where were we? Ah, yes.
Reports, and these written reports of searches and interviews come back through a report of investigation to the primary documents providing agency.
Remember, do not be a criminal. Definitely don't be a criminal.
Once that investigation is complete, it is sent back to your sponsoring agency so that your sponsoring agency can make a suitability, fitness, and/or security determination regarding your employment. For some types of investigations, a written request is a primary means of gathering information about a person's character, conduct, or employment history. The agent will send a letter asking...
Yeah, also, like Patrick Lucas, I think part of why I'm covering this is because there are people who will straight up say this isn't real. It's literally the culmination of every major conservative think tank coming together and drawing up like their wet dream list of how they want to make the government work.
The school, can you verify that John actually graduated in the year, and did he have any problems at the school? In these cases, DISA sends that written inquiry to the employer, for instance, to verify the individual's employment history and gather relevant information. For other types...
Look, okay, if you put a school and you say you graduated with a degree from that school, we're going to check. If you say you had a job, we're going to check. Do not lie on these forms, we will check.
Types of investigations, however,
it will be
DISA may send an actual investigator to gather this information personally, sometimes under oath from the provider. In all cases, your timely cooperation is appreciated, and it helps our government efficiently fill out these critical positions with qualified applicants. We want you to serve. This is how you get there. Each agency has their own personnel security office. Once they have received your completed background investigation, they will review all contents of the investigation and make a suitability, fitness, and/or security classification recommendation. It is important to note that the Personnel Security Office makes a recommendation, not a final determination. The final suitability determination belongs to the senior political appointees at that respective agency. And these have been known to be made by the secretaries of an agency when everybody else has contrary opinions underneath it. If your position requires access to classified information or facilities, your sponsoring agency will also determine as to whether or not you will be granted what level of security clearance. Your security clearance is based on the results of your background investigation. The decision to grant you a clearance, although technically separate from the decision made on your eligibility based on your investigation, is often made at the same time and in conjunction with the decision based on your investigation. So those are two different actions, one by the agency, one by the referring investigator. If a clearance is required for the position, this decision may or may not impact on your ability to be employed by that sponsoring agency or contractor. As a clearance holder, you are required and expected to report any issues or life circumstances.
Also, one thing I haven't mentioned about this video yet is that he is describing the process through which you get security clearances and then have access to secret documents and materials and secure facilities and such. If they win, the worst people, the true believers, are going to have access to the state secrets of America. And I feel like I don't have to go into a lot of detail about how bad that would be for all of us.
That may affect your eligibility to hold your position or access classified information. If something happens to you while you have a classification of a security clearance, secret, top secret, or SCI, you must report it. If you do not report it, that is grounds for removal. Don't hesitate to report it. It can be mitigated. This is a new process that started in 2018-2019 while I was at the Office of Personnel Management. The investigations policies and procedures have evolved since the 2016 time when some of you served previous administrations. The entire investigations community is now in the midst of transitioning from a periodic reinvestigation procedure to a continuous evaluation or CE model, also known as continuous vetting, to ensure federal, military, and
So don't break the law after you get the job. Again, if you broke the law in the past, that's probably bad and you shouldn't apply. But also don't break the law after you get the job, because we're going to be doing a continuous type of vetting. Okay, don't break the law afterwards. You know, you might get the job. Don't use that opportunity to then post on social media about doing illegal acts. Okay, don't do that. Do not break the law after you apply or after you get selected for the job, because we can just get rid of you, and that would be a lot of paperwork for us.
Contractors continued eligibility for employment and or access to classified material. This model consists of you enrolling in a program that will track and alert your employing agency or organization to any changes in your eligibility based on suitability and those factors that determine whether you can still have access to important information or be barred from certain classifications, or frankly.
What were the fascists thinking or hoping for by openly promoting Project 2025 since last year? Frankly, it's a couple of things, right? Good question, by the way. They were thinking a couple of things. One, they were thinking that people wouldn't care. Okay? They were thinking that your average people who are going to turn out and vote don't care about what think tanks do, because usually when think tanks do anything, very few people outside of Washington or outside of like politically brain poisoned enclaves like this one care. However, they were also banking on the fact that that Donald Trump was going to be campaigning against Joe Biden. And Joe Biden looked very, 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 very vulnerable. So they did a little bit of calculating, and they figured that it was worth the risk of any potential blowback, because they need, if they really want to take power, if they really want to seize power in America, what they need is to recruit thousands of yes men to participate in this program. And in order to do that, you need to start like 2 years ago, you know, which is what they did. But once you've started the program, you need a way to get people into it. And in order to keep it all above board, they need to be honest about what it is. And also, all of the materials we're going over right now were never meant to be released to the public. And we are very fortunate that someone either within the organization or some very intrepid reporter managed to get a hold of these. So those are kind of the two main components here. But I think there's a third one, and that is this is kind of their last chance. They know that Donald Trump is old. If he doesn't win this time around, how old is he going to be next time around? Trump age. I always forget. He's 78 years old. if he loses this time, he's going to be running as an 82-year-old next time. And I know, let me put it this way. Biden is looking pretty rough these days. And Biden is 81 years old, okay? So, being a year older than Biden is now and having to hardcore campaign, and also possibly being in prison, because, again, a lot of his situations regarding the law are kind of contingent on him winning election. It's not looking too good for Donald Trump to run again in 2028. It's just not looking too good. He doesn't have the juice. He barely has the juice to run right now, let alone 4 years from now.
Frankly, had to be removed from your position for violations.
Frankly, if you break the law, we're going to have to get rid of you. I don't know what to say. Like, don't break the law, okay? All right, don't lie on these forms and break the law in that way, and don't break the law in a variety of other ways. And do not diddle kids. Definitely do not diddle kids.
You may be enrolled at any time while being employed with or on behalf of the federal government. It is not an option. It is an agency determination. Security clearances. There are 4 levels of security clearances. A confidential, this type of security clearance.
Yeah, they overplayed their hand out of necessity. Like, they didn't really have another option. This is their shot to do the thing.
This provides access to information that could cause damage to national security if disclosed without authorization. It gets reinvestigated every 15 years, even with the continuing vetting. You'll be fully reinvestigated every 15 years. Secret is when you have a classification that gets reinvestigated every 10 years. Top secret is every 5 years, and top secret sensitive compartmented information.
Is it breaking the law if I apply as a non-USA citizen? I don't know. I haven't heard them say a non-US citizen can't apply.
Is an access program that gets added on to the top secret clearance and is continuously vetted. If the hiring office requests it, an applicant can be granted an interim security clearance due to backlogs or inefficiencies, or you just haven't gotten cleared. Final clearances usually are supposed to be processed and adjudicated in less than 90 days. Some agencies are backlogged, so your agency should prioritize any political appointees to get in there and start doing the job immediately the day they hit the ground. With an interim clearance, classified work can be performed, but in a temporary capacity until a background investigation can be completed. It is possible that the job you apply for is a public trust position. Public trust is not a security clearance, but depending on the job, you must complete either the standard Form 85 or 85P questionnaire. That determines that you are in all other capabilities and capacities qualified to be a federal employee. In order to obtain a security clearance or higher, the investigation requires agents to interview people who have lived and worked with the applicant at some point in the last 7 to 10 years, sometimes even further back if you've lived overseas or had a long string of moves across the country. In that situation, investigators will use the standard Form 86F to conduct their investigation. Next, we're going to discuss several factors that could disqualify you from obtaining any security clearance. If the job you're considered for does not require a security clearance, it is still important to pay attention to these disqualifiers because they disqualify you from any federal employment. Personnel security officers at each agency will consider all of these factors when considering you for a position, regardless of the security.
The number one thing they'll consider is whether or not you broke the law, so don't do that part, okay? Do all the things that lead up to applying, but then don't break the law.
Clearance required for your position. Some disqualifiers are citizenship. You absolutely must be a U.S. citizen to work for the federal government. The applicant must show that he is either a U.S. citizen by birth or a naturalized citizen. Illegal immigrants and green card holders cannot be considered for government jobs because of law. If non-citizens lie on their application about being citizens, they are automatically disqualified.
So do not break the law, folks. There you have it. Don't do it, Olada. Do not break the law. Don't break the law. Have I stressed enough in this training video how you should not break the law? Do not lie to the government. Do not break the law.
Of course, they're also properly prosecuted for violation of false statements to the government. Criminal history. In most cases, individuals tried in federal criminal courts are disqualified from government jobs. If you've been convicted of a crime, you will not be serving in the federal government. Crimes such as fraud, embezzlement, and tax evasion,
or storming the Capitol on January 6th. Don't break the law.
Show a lack of moral character, just like similar white-collar offenses that are highly frowned upon and will bar you from service. Bankruptcy or debt. Your credit history is assessed by banking professionals who work for the federal government. Although there is not a minimum credit score to obtain employment in government, it is not favorable if you have accumulated debt and filed for bankruptcy that you're not able to be responsible for. For the government,
man, it sure is convenient for Donald Trump that he does, none of these apply to him. A guy who's been bankrupt like 17 times, guy who is currently convicted of 34 felonies.
Government, this means that you are unable to comply with financial obligations and are considered grounds for disqualification. However, owning a house with a large mortgage is not a disqualifier. Substance abuse. Admitting drug use on a security clearance automatically disqualifies a candidate from the job. Unfortunately, even though some states allow...
He has filed business bankruptcies either 4 or 6 times. I guess he has never filed personal bankruptcy. So that's an important distinction. Do not do crimes.
Allow it. This absolutely means marijuana admission within the last 6 months will bar you from the federal government. If a candidate is using illegal substances now or is addicted to prescription medication, the government finds them automatically unreliable and denies them a clearance.
That's right. Don't smoke the devil's weed, okay? The devil's weed will lead you into directions that mean you support the liberal agenda or Iran. Those are the only 2 options.
If a candidate is a former addict, however, and can show proof of recovery, they could be allowed to apply for a government job. Inconsistencies. Irregularities on your application or during your interview, the government can discover all of these inconsistencies against which they already know many things. Assume that everything in your past, from your parents' birth to everything the minute you file that application.
Your parents better not have been doing illegal things when they were coming out of the womb, okay? Hail Swayback, thank you for subscribing! I think that's the first person in like an hour to support stream. Thank you so much, BBBBBBB.
Is somewhere in a government record or it's discoverable. Reasons for concealing any aspect of your life raise even more questions and will not be acceptable. Conflicts of interest. Other occupations or familiar relations might be considered a conflict of interest on a federal level. The best course of action is to disclose any such information during the interview process. If your wife works for a major contractor for that same government agency, that familial relationship
Familial.
may bar you from service. SF 85 disqualifications. The questionnaire for public trust positions is the most commonly used questionnaire when conducting background checks for all government positions. If you provide false information on this questionnaire, you intentionally lie or withhold relevant information, you will be disqualified. Bad credit. When you're applying for that public trust clearance, bad credit might be a determining factor if it's not been covered. But that depends on the position. If it's a low-risk position, and
They're really gunning for the bottom of the barrel type folks here. They really know the median intelligence of their supporters. Yeah.
I'm talking, you're not going to be as a political a janitor, but that would be a low-risk position, a moderate risk or high risk.
Joe Byrne,
So a
I see
high-risk
it, but I
position
can't
might
do
be a
it.
very bad bar.
I see what you're doing in Twitch chat. I can't say it while this guy's on screen. I just can't.
Now, how do you improve your chances of getting a government position?
Well, there are a number of ways you can improve your chances of getting this government position. But number one is not to do anything illegal. That's the number one way you can improve your chances of getting this government position. Please don't do any law breaking. All right? And number two, are you familiar with the work of Harvey Weinstein?
Becoming permanently employed in the government is not an easy or automatic fact. But even if you think you might not be the best candidate for any position with the government, there are certain strategies that can help you improve your employment opportunities. First, the obvious one is become a U.S. citizen. You can do that several ways.
All right.
But do it correctly. You can join the military and become a U.S. citizen that route.
That's right. In the 80 days we have between now and election day, join the military and become a citizen. It's very easy.
You can become a naturalized citizen and do it in that route. The first matter verified in a federal criminal background check is citizenship. If you lie about your status as a citizen, you're automatically disqualified. It is mandatory then to first work at becoming a citizen before applying for a job. Be qualified.
Wait, so if it's mandatory, then you're not really improving your chances of obtaining a government position. That's a necessary component. You're not. I guess technically, insofar as not being a criminal, also in that regard would improve your chances of obtaining a government position.
Do not waste your time and energy on a position that requires different qualifications than what you have.
How is this video 30 minutes long? God, this is like for children who don't know how jobs work. This video is for like a literal fresh out of high school person who hasn't had a job and doesn't understand. Can we skip this one? We have 6 minutes left. And you know what? We're finishing it. We came this far. This is sunk cost fallacy in action, okay?
If you can show that you're a nuclear scientist, apply for that position, but don't if you can't. During the federal suitability determination process, they will realize that you lacked suitability for the position. Your talents will be better utilized elsewhere. Choose a job and apply for it that best is suited to your skill set. Complete application. A complete application is one of the federal background check requirements. Government recruiters do not review incomplete applications. Be sure to fill out each required field and answer every question required of you. Incomplete applications will be sent back to you or not processed.
Get good sleep.
Pay off your debts. Improve your credit rating. If you
get money, stupid.
have any debt, pay them off before applying for the job you want. Being debt-free will show the government that you are responsible and reliable. A very high credit card maxed out debt picture does not show financial fiscal responsibility. You want to be a responsible employee of the government. Rehabilitated behavior. Past criminal offenses on your permanent record or any drug offense can be overlooked if you show that you have overcome your problems and that you are fully rehabilitated. Drug abuse, however, is one of the CIA's always permanent absolute employment disqualifiers. Appealing a denial or revocation of a clearance.
Yeah, you better not be doing that Mary Jane, okay? Because it's reefer madness up in this bitch.
What's going to happen is you will be denied a clearance and you'll think you should appeal it. There are processes. When you're denied a clearance or you have been revoked for a
Yes, exactly, Foxbat. You can't have debt. You need to be a U.S. citizen, presumably by joining the military instantaneous. Do it now. And you can have broken the law, but if you feel bad about it, then it's fine. But if you do a drug, if you do one little bit of that reefer, oh boy, they're gonna come down on you like the hand of God, okay? The CIA is gonna break in. They're gonna be like, hands up! Blam, 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 blam! And that will be your story. But, you know, if you get blackout drunk every day, you're fine.
Continuing evaluation factor by a central adjudication agency, you have an opportunity to appeal that decision. You first appeal through your agency security personnel office. The process for doing so differs between military and civilian personnel. In Executive Order 12968, Access to Classified Information, you will find the process for military and civilian personnel.
Guys, I really want to apologize for opening up this small portal to hell for all of you, okay? I do sincerely apologize, okay? Like, I know a lot of you, you're good people at heart, okay? But what I'm doing right now is the spiritual equivalent of the Scared Straight program, okay? Because you all need to know that if you are behaving poorly in this life, you wake up, okay? You wake up in a cart, trundling along a road, okay, in the mountains. It's cold, it's freezing. Sitting across from you is this guy. Ah. Goddamn. I can't finish.
In each case, speaking with your agency security office is the best way to find out what specific processes apply to you and how best to resolve the issues. You can request a hearing before administrative law judges, but in the political appointees venue, that is an appeal to your superior.
Across from you is a guy who says, "Hey, you're finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush, same as us and that thief over there." And you turn, you see this man. "And I'm here to tell you, do not break the law." And you're just trapped. You're trapped in this cart. You cannot get up. You cannot escape the cutscene. You are trapped. There is no dragon coming. You are trapped in the cart, going God knows where for an eternity. That is hell.
At your agency, and then it's pretty much over. Appealing non-clearance adjudications or decisions. In addition to the national security determinations, applicants and personnel may be subject to credentialing and or suitability or fitness determinations. If you were a college kid and had a lot of drinking in your record, the fact that you've recuperated and you don't have any now certainly stands good for you, but you may need to explain that to your security personnel office. The policy and regulations under which these determinations are made will vary by position type, as do the procedures that are to be followed in an unfavorable decision by your agency.
Decision.
If an appeal process is available, notification of that process and the requirements for appealing it will be provided to you in writing by the adjudicating agency and served on you personally. Questions about which process applies and how the process works should be directed to your agency. Your White House liaison office for political officers is the people you want to talk to first. For example, for positions in the competitive service, positions in the accepted service that are non-competitively converted, or career appointments, the SES, that's the Senior Executive Service, when a suitability action is taken against you, you can appeal that to the Merit Systems Protection Board. That does not apply to political appointees. There is no Merit Systems Protection Board for a political appointee. Applicants for federal positions are required to complete a questionnaire for that background check on suitability, and that's often the OPM EQUIP form. And that will tell you what your processes are, and you can answer that at that time. Summary. Federal employment checks are done on...
Summary. Okay. I think we understand what he's saying, okay? I think we all understand what he's saying.
I didn't realize it was even a conversation. I always assumed we would be heavily involved.
This is bad. We gotta definitely write a song about how we do not diddle kids. Do not diddle kids. It's no good diddling kids.
There is no quicker way for people to think that you are diddling kids than by writing a song about it.
You gotta write a song that says, ooh, I wouldn't do it with anybody younger than my daughter. No, little kids gotta be big, older than my wife, older than my daughter, something like that.
Don't write a song about that.
No, I'm cloudy.
I think that was a good summary. Thanks, Always Sunny in Philadelphia clip.
Every government employee, including political appointees. That extent of that check will depend on your position you're applying for, the agency, and the security risk level you are going to be exposed to, and the agency determines what you can apply for. Certain conditions that we've covered automatically disqualify you from working in any federal position. A background check is mandatory for all federal employees. You'll first go through suitability checks, fitness checks, etc., but then you will have a security clearance level, confidential, secret, top secret, secured compartment information.
God, I don't want anyone going through... Frankly, to me, I don't want anyone going through Project 2025 to be anywhere near any kind of security clearance.
On the bright side, you now know and can learn from this process how to avoid the common background problems and disqualifiers. Security depends on your honesty, integrity, detailed, forthright, and complete answers, with truth being the paramount decision factor. Fill out the forms completely and honestly, and we will welcome you into the federal government. Thank you.
Honestly, we should have turned this into a drinking game where you take a shot every time he says decision. That would have made this a lot more bearable in retrospect. Gee whiz. Thanks, Project 2025. Not only do you want to rob us of our democracy, you also want to rob us of our limited time here on Earth. And I despise you as an entity, as a collective, for wasting my time and the time of 350 other people. Like... that was painful. And I hope that me covering these segments instills in you a deep and abiding hatred for these fascist ghouls. Because they want to rob you of so much, and now they have robbed you of your time. To an extent. I hope you still enjoyed me creating this content and putting it out into the world, because it is valuable, I think, to know what our enemy is doing.